So this is a new spec stock that's up over 40% this past week, and there seems to be a lot of hype building up on it. Now guys, I'll be completely honest, I did not want to make this video because of the reaction that I received when I covered SHLL, Hyliion stock, and it really made me rethink if I want to cover these spec plays anymore on the channel. But I've got so many requests from you guys these last few days to cover this stock, so I'm going to do that today for you guys, and hopefully the reaction is positive this time. If you enjoy this and appreciate this, please smash that like button down below to show me your support. Trust me, it means a lot and it helps out a ton with the YouTube algorithm. The stocks we're going to be talking about today is LCA stock, Landcadia stock, and this is actually a stock that's merging with Golden Nugget Online Gaming, a GNOG stock. So I'm going to discuss the terms of this merger, what's happening, what the new company is going to look like, why this may be an interesting company to look into further for a possible investment. But I just want to remind you that I am not a financial advisor. This video is not financial advice. It's just here to provide you information on the company, and then you can go out and make your own investment decision on that. I see way too many comments saying, oh, I did this on your advice, or I bought on your advice, or sold. Guys, I never give advice on this channel. It's all for educational purposes, so just remember that. So here's the big announcement. Landcadia Holdings II to acquire Golden Nugget Online Gaming. And essentially this is similar to what we've seen with other SPACs recently with VTIQ and Nikola, for example, or SHLL and Hyliion. This merger right here, this announcement is just another one of these, except this time we're not in the EV space and we've shifted over to the online gambling space. Now, if you've been to Vegas or Atlantic City, you've probably seen the Golden Nugget Hotel and maybe even stayed at there a few nights. Well, the Golden Nugget had an online gaming division to it that it'll be spinning off here, and this is what this whole merger is about. The spin-off business will be called Golden Nugget Online Gaming, or GNOG, and will trade on the stock market as GNOG as soon as this deal is completed, which is expected sometime in Q2. And what you're going to see happen is the ticker symbol LCA will automatically convert to GNOG once the date is finalized. Now, if you've been following these SPAC plays recently, you've noticed that most of them have been EVs, but there was one recently that was another online gaming based company with betting, and that was DraftKings. They did something very similar here with a reverse merger through a SPAC. So a lot of people are drawing comparisons here and they're getting pretty excited with this new LCA or GNOG stock. So just like I mentioned, we went through a very similar process here with DraftKings, and this was a reverse merger with a SPAC, and it seems to be the new efficient way really to go on the public market without having to go through the whole typical IPO process, which can take many months and cost a lot of money to businesses. Now, from the announcement of the merger between GNOG and LCA, which is what we're talking about today, there were a few highlights that they gave us to give us a better understanding of what exactly you're investing in here. So this division started operations in New Jersey Q4 2013, so they aren't that old, but they have been around for a few years. The key here is they haven't been through a recession yet though, so that's something that I'll keep note of, and that's something you should also keep note of here if you're looking into this business, because during recessions you typically see gambling and spending drop significantly. Sure, they are an online business, so the potential here for them to continue growing is fairly high, but it is still a risk to consider. Now, they became profitable in 2016, and this was a surprise and a good thing for any investor here, because it just took them 3 years from starting operations to achieve profitability. They claim to be the first online gaming company to launch live dealer in the US. They've won industry awards as top operator 3 years in a row. They were the first to launch the live casino floor in the US. And here's the big one. They had positive net income of $11 million in 2019. And although this may seem like a small amount, the key here is that they are a profitable business. So there does seem to be some potential promise here. And if you were an investor or still are an investor in DraftKings, this is definitely another company that you want to look into closely, because they are competing for kind of the same market here. Now, I do say kind of because they're both online and they're both based on betting, but DraftKings is more focused on the sports segment and sports betting, whereas Golden Nugget here is focused on something called iGaming. According to their data, they claim that iGaming is much more profitable and can grow much quicker than online gaming because these players typically play longer, reinvest their winnings back into another game quicker, and the data suggests here that overall they're 7 times more valuable than sports bettors. So you may think, okay, both these companies have their niche here, they can both do well, and that may be so, but it's clear from this presentation that I went through during their announcement of this merger that Golden Nugget is definitely going after DraftKings here, trying to make some jabs at the company too, because they do have a lot of comparisons in this deck. Now here we can see versus DraftKings, Golden Nugget is cash flow positive. They have a higher compounded annual growth rate than DraftKings at 36%, and their net average revenue per user blows DraftKings out of the water with $566 versus $39. This means that their users spend significantly more on their platform versus the users that DraftKings has acquired on their platform. And here from this chart, we can see that they've been very consistent here with their growth, and their growth has accelerated year over year ever since 2018. In 2020, they're expecting their revenue to explode here because of everyone spending more time at home, and with casinos closed, they've resorted to companies like Golden Nugget to get their gambling fill. It seems like this is a good case scenario here for this business to really thrive over the next few quarters as their projections expect. Looking at the numbers they provide for their revenue on a monthly basis in 2020 versus 2019, it's doing much better. This means that the lockdowns are actually helping the company a ton here grow even quicker, and all this has led them to believe that by 2025, they can pull in revenue of $635 million, with majority of the revenue coming from new states that they don't operate in today. But this kind of brings me to another concern that I had with DraftKings as well. Regulations are a big hurdle for these businesses, and they can't expand to different states until regulators approve gambling and online gambling specifically in those states. And honestly, who knows when states will come around to really collaborating on this and just having this available across the whole country. And honestly, if you're thinking of investing in this space, this is a serious risk to consider. The one positive I can see here though is that their target audience for their services are adults in their 40s, and it appeals to both males and females. Now the data here is skewed more towards males slightly with 55% versus 45%, but on the plus side, because the audience is in their 40s, it means that they typically have more money to spend, and this is good for a company relying on gambling spending because their target audience are typically people that are well into their careers and more likely than not have a good amount of money saved up for entertainment like gambling. So now, of course, most companies fall flat on this next part we're going to talk about, and that is their financials. Let's take a look at how this company looks after the merger completes, what their cash looks like, market cap, valuation, all that fun stuff. Landcadia, which is a company that they're merging with here, will infuse their $300 million cash into the combined business. This money will first be used to pay down that $150 million in debt that Golden Nugget has to reduce the burden on the business. After that payment and obligations are complete, the new combined company will hold around $88 million in cash, resulting in a value of over $700 million. Now, if you're wondering how all of this really breaks down and works out, you can see that I have a breakdown here from the SEC filing that they've published. Now, pardon the blurriness, guys. This is just how they had it on their website. It's not the clearest image. I don't know why they don't have high quality slides, but it is what it is, and I'll try to point out the important stuff here. They have around 68.3 million shares outstanding, and the share price of the SPAC is $10. So that alone gives a value of around $680 million for the business. Then if you calculate the enterprise value and add in $150 million in debt, subtract the cash, it gives them a value of near $750 million. But here's the part that we need to pay attention to. As of today, the stock is trading at $14.45 per share. So let's calculate what they're valued at today. We know that there's 68.3 million shares outstanding. So if we multiply that by today's share price, it gives us a market cap of around $987 million. So it's just about touching that $1 billion mark. The 2021 revenue, according to analysts, is expected to be around $122 million. So this then gives us a price to sales ratio of 8.09 times. If you watched my older video on growth stocks, you know that an 8 times premium is on the higher end for what I personally like, but honestly, it's not as bad as I thought it would be. This is especially true if you compare its biggest competitor here, DraftKings, who has a market cap today of over $11.5 billion and 2021 revenue expected of $750 million. DraftKings with these metrics has a price to sales ratio of 15.3x. So this makes Golden Nugget look extremely cheap because it's trading at around half of that premium. Now, do I think that DraftKings is fairly valued or cheap at their current valuation? Well, I talked about DraftKings in a previous video, so check that out if you haven't already at the end of this video. I will leave a link description down below. But essentially, if you feel that DraftKings is fairly valued at these current prices and the market is as big and as ripe for the picking as these companies are making it out to be, then Golden Nugget here looks very undervalued. However, if you're on the side of the fence where you believe that DraftKings is just way too expensive at this $11.5 billion valuation, valuation, then maybe Golden Nugget right now is trading at a fair valuation. Now, I know around 20,000 Robinhood investors, speculators, traders, whatever you want to call them, bought into LCA stock this past week. And I bet the hope here with these 20,000 investors is that the stock moves similar to how DraftKings did. But of course, the big question is, will it play out that way? I think it can probably move here a bit on hype, but the very bottom line is that this is a very new business. It's penetrating a very new industry, and as a long-term hold, you really have to consider the regulation hurdles that I discussed earlier in this video. I honestly think that online gaming is the future. Pretty much anything to do with these physical services that can be shifted online is the future. Cards gambling like poker and all these kind of things, and sports betting and any other sort of online betting system is where a lot of people are definitely going to flock to in the future when they, don't want to go to a physical casino or they don't have one in their city nearby. It's definitely a market that has a ton of potential, but I don't know if either of these two companies will be the winners in that space. I don't know if it'll be DraftKings, I don't know if it'll be Golden Nugget, I don't know if it'll be some other new company that comes along and just takes both of them out. The industry just has a ton of speculation around it right now, and essentially if you're investing in these businesses, you're just hoping that everything plays out the way that they're expecting, and you're just hoping that the biggest issue, which is the regulations around the country, work themselves out and every state is open for business for online gaming. Either way, what I want to hear from you guys now is I want to know whether you think DraftKings or Golden Nugget Online Gaming is the better investment here at today's prices. Let me know in the comment section down below. I'm going to read every single comment, guys, so I'm looking forward to your responses. But either way, guys, thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to invest positively, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.